Sorry, is that us?
Who did you say?
Yeah, that is us. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Right. I thought we're teammates. I don't know what's going on. Right. Right. Okay. So switching to presentation mode.
Yep.
All right. How do we do that again?
So toolbar down at the bottom right should be an option.
Gotcha.
Cool.
I've learned something, damn it. Right. Okay. So everybody see?
Yep.
Okay. So in our pursuit of creating an app, nothing is off the table. So we've decided to go with COVID Fit. Okay. So here we go. Hide that. So a nice little exercise app, very simplistic, straight to the point. Get yourself fit from Team A. So as you can see, you can click on any one of these and they'll, well, I'll show you what they go to in a second. Look at the nice glowing animation here, the whole thing. Okay, so when you click on these, they go into exercises. So we've got your squats, your jumping jacks, your invisible wall sits, everything. Okay, and then simply done. Once you click done, it goes straight back to it again. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole thing, except if anybody is foolish enough to go to the error page, Jerry Seinfeld is not happy with that. So, the music's not playing. No. Hey. Okay, that's it.
Cool. And is that pulling the data from an API?
It is indeed. So we've got everything coming in from the API. Yeah. So I don't know if Harry wants to jump in and talk about some of the back-end stuff as well, or?
Sure, yeah, can do, yeah. So here we go, everybody. It looks pretty clean back here. We started out with building up. One second, get back to it. Building up a list of issues to act as a kind of to-do list. So you can see they're all kind of closed here. But this offers a kind of rough map as to what we've been building and when. And so we started off with a pretty basic series of designs, trying to figure out how we're going to make a database work with a series of days and a series of exercises. As we all know from self-isolation, the days feel like there are many, many, many days. And the exercises feel like, well, many, many exercises that we could possibly do on those many days. So we need a many-to-many relationship for those many, many things. So we built that. I'll show you a little bit more around the place. Down this very exciting looking black and white interface. So, as you can see, we've got some steps here that just tell you, oh my goodness me, I have no idea what's going on. How do I install this? Well, never fear, the README is here to tell you. So we're also building a really nice little seed, which allows you to kind of seed the database. So you can run that command and lo and behold, kapow, your days appear. Ha 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 ha, brilliant. So yeah, so there's a guide here, and there was a little wireframe that we built that Barney drew, which just shows you how that relationship's going to work kind of backstage in the data, but also at the front end. I see this is the front end drawing. But yeah, so pretty kind of straightforward little wireframe from the front end guys there. Hang on a second. Let's scroll down, see if we can get the database drawing the real meat on those bones. Okay, here we go. Anytime now, computer. Thank you. Okay, so here we have the exercises and here we have the days. This kind of trailing piece of what looks like a unicorn's tail, in fact, kind of goes in both directions, really, between the exercises and days, being many to many. But this is the basic idea, just thinking like, oh, well, how are we going to start out? Well, maybe we're going to have a day, we're just going to have a series of exercises attached to it, and maybe like an array or something of exercises, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or something like that. But in fact, we found as we went on, it was a bit easier to create a pivot table and have the exercises kind of listed inside that. So we built like a nice little API, which has kind of each exercise broken down. You can see there's a little bit more functionality we've got in here that we didn't incorporate, but it's nice to kind of leave there. And obviously somebody else picking it up can do that. It's in our stretch goals and our lovely README doc. So exercise difficulty, you can have fun playing around with that, with your burpees or whatever exercise you want to add. Yeah, so that's broadly it. And we've got some nice examples from the JSON file that you can look at. So you can get into the JSON and see what it looks like before it feeds through. Cool.
Cool. Thank you very much, Harry and Jordan. So just a few questions. Let me just find where I've got them written down. So the first one, what was the hardest bit of building your app?
In terms of front end, the hardest part, I think, for me personally, I can't speak for Nate, but just kind of like getting all the little fiddly bits of styling sorted out, and the media queries as well. So just kind of trying to wrap my head around the media queries, because just to point that out, that am I screen sharing right now?
No.
I'm not. Oh, okay.
Harry took over.
Okay, right. So yeah, so in terms of the media queries, kind of like just figuring out how things would work, I think trying not to go too far into like little design details was probably one of the hardest parts, not getting caught up on smaller bits and trying to actually get functionality kind of working. So that's probably what I found most difficult, really.
And back end, what was the hardest thing that you found?
Well, for me, like the hardest part is actually just making sure that you kind of know where all the various parts are backstage, the model and the controller, and just making sure that you've kind of got that firmly in your head, because it's quite easy to lose track, I think, and you've got so many different files running around at the same time. So I found like the setting up issues for myself and for Barney was really helpful, and vice versa, as Barney setting up issues as well. So that was really, really helpful, just to kind of keep track of what needed to be built in what order. So having done it kind of the first time in class with everybody, and then suddenly building it on your own, yeah, that just made it much easier to have a kind of path. Yeah, but it was tough. Yeah.
Cool. And what's the next question? If you had a phase 2 of your app to continue the project, what do you think you'd do with some additional functionality?
Do you want to go first this time, Harry?
Oh, right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be really interesting to have more difficulty. We talked about having maybe a progress bar, and then so people could see how they're progressing throughout the day for their workout, or progressing through the workout as it continues, because we've obviously got days of the week as well. There's an opportunity to maybe have, set your workout over a series of days and then see how it's progressing, and then have like a nice progress bar along the way. Things like that would be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing that I'd add to that, Harry, is that he did a very good job in setting up our many-to-many relationships in the back end. So I think from my standpoint, it would be nice to do more with that. I think that we would have been able to add a lot of functionality in terms of, adding new days, allowing users to add new days, add new exercises, because all the API routing is already set up for that. We were able to we were able to populate our database through Postman, which was really good. And also the front end is quite flexible, because it takes the data and produces, it renders based on an array of what is in the database. So it will continue to expand as long as we add data. So yeah, we could do more with that.
Mm-hmm. And we used, as a basis for the model, we used Google's Workout Exercises API. So it would be really great to kind of plug into that, which has a whole massive long list of exercises that you can kind of add in. And kind of achievements that you can unlock, and leaderboards and other things that could be really interesting to put into it.
Cool. And Jordan, what about the front end?
I think in terms of the front end, I tried to have sort of like originally I tried to put like a sort of like a bar that goes through all the imagery, so that I like the idea that there'd be a start button. And I think this is something that would need a bit more time, obviously, but like a start button, and then there's like a timer. maybe something like that. So you've got like a start and finish, and then you can click done rather than just static. But yeah, sky's the limit with this kind of thing, I suppose, like given enough time. So, but I'm happy with the way it turned out. So
cool. I mean, yeah, it looks really good and useful as well.
yes.
So last question. If you were to do it again, what would you maybe do differently?
Oh, I know. I'd have researched whether COVID Fit was already taken or not, because it is. so yeah.
They're nothing on this, man. It's not the same.
Theirs looks crap.
Somebody had to do yoga on a podcast. Anyway,
I think the one thing that could have gone better was that just planning out our database structure a little better. Harry did a really good job at kind of reacting midweek to add the many to many, but we started off thinking it would be a one to many, which wasn't quite right. So maybe just putting more thought into that and maybe a little more research at the start would have been good, and would have simplified things in terms of then building the controllers and resources out the back of that as well.
Sure. I mean, from personal experience, I've worked on hundreds of projects where everything that seems to be one to many to start with ends up being many to many halfway through that project. So it's a very common issue. So shall we move on to the next group? So group 1, do you want to present, whoever's volunteered to do that one?
Hello, I think that is us. We're going to do it slightly differently. So James is going to present, and I'm just going to talk it through.
Cool.
So if you want to pin James's screen, otherwise you'll get my ugly face on your screen throughout.
Don't you say that. I'll come over.
Beautiful face, Josh.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okie dokie. Has everyone pinned his screen?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so this is, as you can probably see from the beginning screen, is to do with alcohol and drinking, which is probably like another thing you could do whilst you're on lockdown, just to kind of see the days away. So to start with, on the first screen that you come to, you'll be presented with this kind of warning age verification thing. And if you click no, take me away, it will take you to another place, away from the website, which is aptly Pina Colada Escape Song by Rupert Holmes. Then if you go back to the website and you press yes, I'm old enough to enter, then you come to our website, which is called Mixer. You might notice that the E is missing because it's just quite hip and trendy to miss out letters in logo. So, just thought we'd go for that. So yeah, it's called Mixer. So essentially this website has like 3 different bits to it. So kind of like a spirit bit where you can pick what spirit you want to have in your drink. Then it will take you on to another page. So if you click, say, rum, for example, so then it will take you through to a drink selection, which is under that category. So these are all the drinks that are associated with rum, say. And then if you choose, I don't know, James, up to you, what one you choose. I'll let you choose. Pina Colada, good choice. Then you go on to the Pina Colada page, and here we have kind of 3 different bits. So the main image in the background, then it has the ingredients that you need, and then the method on the right-hand side. And you can just have some fun with it and experiment with it. And that is pretty much it. We've got a little Easter egg that we've put in here as well. So if you go back to the start of it again, so the main page, can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, if you go back to the original page, so we've got a little hidden feature, which is if you press either O or U or N here, then it will take you to a game of Uno.
Voila.
Genius.
And then you can have
Brilliant.
you can waste away your days of lockdown with games of Uno and making cocktails. So yeah, this is kind of like a built-in game here, which we haven't made ourselves. So yeah, you can do that, and then just go back to the main page, and yeah, while your day's away. There is also one more thing in there as well, which I'll need to take my headphones out for this. If you go onto any of the drinks, I don't know if you'll hear this, but it will play. If you like pina colada.
We like that song.
If you have a brain.
Very nice.
I got a question. On the back end, are the ingredients, are they just stored as like one text thing, or are all of the ingredients broken out as well?
So, the ingredients are held in their own table, and that is tied to the cocktail table in a many-to-many relationship. So you basically, I will show my screen just for Postman actually. So Postman pretty much obviously has the cocktails table, so that has the name, the ID, and all that type of stuff. And then if you search for like an individual cocktail, it has the ID, the name, the method, an image, and then the ingredients. And then if you search for ingredients too, it will show you all of the drinks with that ingredient in. So it will say Cosmopolitan, vodka martini, espresso. So yeah, and then obviously we put the ingredients into an array when we created the cocktails in Postman, and that's how we created the link. So yeah, there you go.
That's really impressive. Yeah, I think everyone's gone for sort of more advanced database structures this time. It's really impressive you've all got them working, particularly in such a short amount of time. Group Alpha.
Cool. Well, I'm going to walk you through the app. I think I've been nominated. So let me just share screen. Oh, great! Because this app is going to be used for future generations. So this pay attention, Ben. So I think we're all aware that we were drastically unprepared for the pandemic, and so to limit the potential of future disruption to society, we have created the hazard perception, the pandemic hazard perception app. So yes, so here it is. So in order to survive the pandemic, you'll need to confidently and quickly spot potential hazards in your day-to-day life. This game will test your skills in hazard perception and will help stop a virus spreading globally and wiping out humankind. The rules are simple. There's one hazard per page. You've got to click on the hazard in the photo before the time runs out. There are 10 photos in each test, and you can choose your difficulty, either wimpy, confident, or Duke Nukem. So ideally, in a real-world setting, we'd have someone else in this. But I'm, despite having played it many times, I will be taking you through it. So when you're ready, you can begin the test. So as you can see, we've got the timer going down here. So can anyone else shout out where they think the hazard might be?
He's touching his face.
Touching his face.
Oh, it's too late. You got 8 seconds. Right, where's the hazard? Come on, guys.
The hat.
You can skip it. Okay, go for the hands. Okay, cool. What about here?
That guy in
More
the
than 2 people gathered somewhere.
No, okay, I didn't hear that, so I'm going to skip round. Anyone see the hazard here?
They're running past the drugs.
Running with a rat.
I'll give you that one. What about this one? Can you see the hazard here? Quick, you got 7 seconds.
Brown shoes matches his trousers.
Bending over without using your knees.
What about this one?
Oh, sharing food.
Well done. Anyone spot a hazard here?
Oh, licking dogs.
He's not using tongue.
Licking dog. There we go. Yep. Any hazard here?
There are no hazards there.
Okay, no hazards there. Around. Anyone see a hazard here?
Oh, no gloves. No gloves. Touching public place.
Oh, that's no good, is it? Okay, and last one. Anyone see the hazard here?
He's hooking that
Somebody flied. Somebody flied.
No, 10. Congratulations. Your speed and perception has helped stop the pandemic escalating. After saving the human race, you stand in a field of maize with your arms stretched triumphantly as the sun sets. And if you like, you can play again. In theory, if you change your difficulty, it will change the amount of time you have, but in reality, it doesn't actually do anything. But if you were to lose, so if you skip and you don't get any of them because I don't know, you're a conservative maybe, you end up with a different message. Your inability to spot basic hazards has led to the spread of the pandemic and the destruction of the species. Better luck next time. So there you go.
Cool. Is there
Very
any any code or anything that you want to share? Or
yes, no, there is actually. So I think the really difficult bits to implement, which we have Ross to thank, is this timer. So at the moment, the only way you can increase the score is by clicking on the correct bit of the image. If you click skip, the count will go up, but your score won't. And when the timer gets to 0, it will render the new image and it will forfeit your point for that round.
I can show you what the back end was. A bit of a beast, to be fair. I think I'm stressed more on that than on most things in my life. But yeah, I have to give some thanks also to Jack there. We both scratched our heads there. 100%. So, got to read me up there. So for those who really want to know what it looks like, that's what the back end, or the front end, sorry, for the countdown timer looks. So some of the challenging parts was to get the timer to mount, and then one of the big issues we were having was it would work fine where it would count down and then operate the next increment for the counter on the global state. But the problem was once you got onto your next image, you wouldn't get the timer to update its state again to reflect the interval you wanted. So we had to do a bit of component updating, where we looked at comparing what the current counter was, and we had to look at trying to get that timer to reset to take on a new state. That was surprisingly quite tricky. And then because some of the code was slightly inherited, there were some issues with the set interval. So we're finding that the set interval was losing what track it had. So it started, as you're going further along the carousel with all the images, it was starting to speed up the game unintentionally. So that threw in quite a few errors trying to get that to work. But yeah, that was eventually what the countdown looked like, those who wanted. From the back-end perspective, we kept it quite simple. So for most of our stuff, we managed it through Trello. We didn't do it as eloquently as Harry did with putting through his comments. We set up an initial just basic design brief for the requirements, which we broke it down. So we put in some of the things we wanted to do. The timer was something that was on the low priority. We thought, if we could just get the general functionality working, then we'd come back to the timer. Lucky enough, I think because we had quite a basic back end, we had enough time to come back and sort out the timer. Ideally, for further things, we wanted to put in additional player details. So I think it would have been a second table we would have brought in is bringing in the player details and possibly storing their score so you could go back. That was the wireframe that Henry and Marcel made up, so which gave us a good front end to start to work with. And then as a very basic back end, that's what the table that we needed to pull through. So basically that brought in the URL for the images we were using, and we had 4 columns which we used for positioning. So there's an invisible div that you need to click on, which is for the hazard, and those coordinates get pulled through from the API request. And yeah, we put in a very basic API of a get for pulling through the information, which pulled through as one massive data, which we then put into an array. We then had put in an API route for put and and post. So that allowed us to change anything we need to do for coordinates, for configuration, and also if you had to update the images, and then just for initial posting, and then
so I mean, well done to all the groups. It's amazing to see. A few weeks ago you were all panicking about everything, and you've managed to create like 3 really cool apps from scratch in like 3 days, basically, with really not that much assistance. So you should all be proud of yourselves. I think I speak for all the instructors when I say that we're all really proud of what you've achieved in the last 12 weeks, and wish you good luck for the future with getting jobs and stuff like that. I don't know if Pete, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it all there, really, but just to say huge congratulations to you all. You've done amazingly well. Think about how far you've come in 12 weeks. It's amazing. And I would say, farewell, but actually I'm going to see you all next week, so I won't say farewell. Have a nice weekend. Good luck with the challenge, getting that started. Yeah, so it's all good. But it's just the start of your career, really, isn't it? Congratulations to you all.